Our guest speaker today is from foster care. Jen Nightingale was going to be our speaker, but she's ill today, so she has sent Karen to talk to us about the foster care system. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you for stepping in, girl.
Okay, thank you all for letting us come and speak. As she mentioned, Jen Nightingale is one of our champion foster parents who helps the program and helps the cause of foster care by going around and sharing her stories and her experience. Since she was not able to be here today, she gave me her exact speech that she was going to say, so I'm going to read that for her because I am sorry you're not going to get to see her directly because she just is such a an amazing person, and you know her?
I know her.
Yeah, I don't even, it's hard to put in words. She's just so amazing and such a joy to know. So I hope that that will come through in her story. So with that, I will say, she wanted to start by saying she's not a public speaker. She's just a mom who's incredibly passionate about foster care and fell into this job of advocating her passion as a side job of being a foster parent champion. And so she and her husband Ryan have been foster parents for 17 years.
Wow.
Yeah, they have fostered 71 children.
Wow.
Yeah, from birth to age 15, with the majority of children being substance-affected newborns. They have 4 biological children of their own, Andrew, who's 24, Isaac, who's 22, and in college, and their 20-year-old daughter, who's in college, and all of them are in college, and Olivia, who's a freshman in college. When their youngest child turned 2, they felt strongly that they were being called to do something. We knew we had space, capacity, and love in our home and began researching how we could help kids in our community. And we were led to foster care. We definitely did not foresee the crazy journey that we have been on. We've welcomed many children that eventually went home with their parents, moved on to relatives or other foster homes. They adopted 7 children through that time who were not able to find permanency with parents or relatives. So they adopted Sam, who's now 15, Jonah, who's 14, Hannah, who's 12, Rebecca, who's 10, and Delilah, who's 5. Lydia would have been 3 years old, but she passed away a year ago now.
Oh.
Yeah, just 9 months after they adopted her. And her biological sister Tessa, who just turned 2, they also have. So if you lost count, that's 11 permanent kids that they are parents to. We currently have a sweet set of little ladies placed with us through foster care who are almost 2 and 7 months old as well. I'm telling you, when I tell you she's amazing, she is amazing. She was asked to speak a little bit today about her story and the desperate need that we have for in our community right now for foster parents. Throughout the years of being a licensed foster mom, they've had a variety of children. Some were respite placements, where you would help out other foster parents by providing a break or the ability to go on a pre-planned vacation. So you would just take the kids for a couple days or a week while a foster parent was out of town or needed a break or maybe was having some surgery and they needed someone to take care of the kids. So you would be kind of helping to support the other foster parents who need some respite for whatever. Maybe they have a dying family member that they just need some of that time. So you can just be helping by just taking kids temporarily. So they started out with doing that for a while. Many were emergency nature calls that they got called in the middle of the night, and which some of those would just resolve in a few days, so they'd end up just having the placement for a couple days. Maybe the parent was incarcerated, and then once they got out of the jail, they were able to get their parents back, so they were some short-term placements. The majority have been long-term, however, where they would work with the biological family to communicate and keep connection with their children whenever possible, while they stood in the gap for whatever time was needed to keep the children safe, loved and provided for, and ensured that they were thriving while their parents were doing and getting the help and support that they needed. As we mentioned before, over half of the placements that we have accepted over the years have been newborns from the hospital who have been exposed to different substances. We have become a bit of a specialty home for those tiny sweet ones to stabilize, acquire therapies for development, follow up with doctors and specialists, and generally working on attachment and love. We are privileged to be able to be a safer space for whatever time is needed. I can tell so many stories, it's hard to pick one, but I'll tell you a little one about one of the babies. Let me begin by saying I have her mom's permission to share her story and name as well. Claire was born in 2016. She was under 5 pounds at birth, and when we were called for her placement, we were not informed what substances she was exposed to, but that there had been a positive test and she was not exhibiting any initial signs of withdrawal. They arrived at the hospital to pick her up and was met by the hospital social worker who said, "Mom has just been informed that the baby was not going to go home with her," and she was understandably very upset. She was ushered up a service elevator and waited in a vacant room for the nurse to wheel Claire into the room for her to dress in anticipation of discharge. I dressed her tiny self, took her home, and spent many sleepless nights snuggling, feeding, and reassuring her that someone would come when she cried. I texted her mom as often as possible with the photos to ensure she could see her baby grow. She was a super chunky baby once she was past the initial newborn transition, and she hit all her milestones quickly. She lived with us for 14 months, during which time we were asked if we could be an adoptive resource for her. We prayerfully considered and decided that the timing wasn't right for us, but a good foster mom friend of mine had an opening and knew and loved Claire already. So the transition to her home, though sad, was seamless. I have frequent opportunities to watch her grow up and interact with her as an extended family. This is definitely not always the case. Most of the time, kiddos go home with their parents. But in this case, this was in her best interest, and she is a beautiful and thriving 7-year-old who I am lucky to have been a small piece of her story. I have dozens of similar stories of amazing kids I have been fortunate enough to care for over the years. I can't quite put into words what it means to be a foster parent, but I am happy to talk to anyone who's even slightly considering it might be the right choice for them. The need for foster homes is at a crisis level right now. She gets multiple emails, calls, and texts every week trying to place kids that need a loving home. It's heartbreaking. There truly are children who come to foster care like mine with nothing but clothes they are wearing or even everything they own in one trash bag. Many have emotional trauma that is difficult to explain. Even babies from the NICU placed directly at birth have long-term trauma from prenatal exposure. We need more foster parents. On any given day in Kenosha, there's about 200 children in foster care. And to date, there are less than 100 generally licensed foster homes. We actually, as of this morning, I believe, have 85 homes. But we need 150 homes to be able to adequately place the children that we have and in a good match for them. So we, as you can see, we're about 70 homes under what we really need to be meeting the needs of children in our community. Addressing the current foster care crisis, which is not just Kenosha, this is a nationwide problem we're having, and we're not alone. Addressing the current foster care crisis is a long-term endeavor that requires the collective efforts of individuals and our entire community support. We need community members all to stand up for these children who are our future. If you feel like becoming a foster parent is something that you'd be able to do, we would love to help you. In addition, there are many ways you can spread the news about the crisis in Kenosha. Perhaps you have connections at an area business, a church, an organization, or a group. We would love to connect with you and discuss ways you can help us get the word out or bring us into other, obviously here, but if you have other organizations or groups that you're a part of that you can invite us to come speak like we are here, that would be great. Raising awareness is a huge part of that. If you have a business with employees that we can help get information out to them through an email blast, through brochures. I've left brochures on all the tables that people can take and pass out. If you have friends, relatives, neighbors who you think are in a good position to be a foster parent, simply handing them a brochure is a way that you can be helping to raise awareness and spreading the word and getting this information into the right hands. Am I getting the cut through? Okay, that's good. Thank you all.
Thank you.